If Portland reaches the playoffs, they would face the Lakers. There was a report that some league insiders earlier this week said Portland would be capable of knocking off LeBron in the first round. So, Shannon, how big of a threat are the Blazers to the Lakers in the first round?
I believe they could take a game or two. There's no question about that. Those guards are a handful, Skip. We know Dame is legit. He's an all-NBA player. He's gone to all-star games. He can go get 50. He might even get 60, Skip. Remember the last time they played him right after the tragic passing of Kobe Bryant. He went off in Staples. C.J. McCollum is another guy. I think he's been an all-star. He's dropped 50 before. So the backcourt alone, when you have two guys, Skip, that can heat up and go get you, they can probably get you, say, 70 points between the two of them, 80 between the two of them. They're going to be in every game. Nurkic is a handful now. But, Skip, I think the thing is, for me, is that because they have no answer for LeBron, they have no answer because I just don't see it, them stopping LeBron and them handling AD. This game, watching this game, I'm like, Portland, you guys really should be up like 35. Skip. You got James Harden and you got P.J. Tucker trying to guard 7 foot, 280-pound Nurkic. Run through him, run your offense. Skip, he's skilled enough. You can dump it down. He can drop step and be at the basket.
But they tried. A lot of times they tried.
And the thing was, and see, what happens is that when James Harden has to guard bigger players, you have to sacrifice something. You're going to hurt him on the other end, Skip, because he's going to pick up fouls. He had 5 fouls, and so it got him out of rhythm. He was not himself. Russ struggled last night, but back to Portland. Portland can win a game or two, Skip, because their backcourt is that good. Gary Trent Jr., it seems like he can't miss three, Skip, because he's coming in and he's letting them go and he's making them.
This is all new. He's come from nowhere.
He's come from nowhere.
I mean, he came from Duke, but lately he came from nowhere in the bubble.
Right. And Melo's played huge, because it was him hitting those big threes against Memphis that got him close, got him into overtime, and they end up winning the ball game. And last night, he hit the three that was heard around the world. I think the thing is that I'm watching Melo, Skip. This is the first time since he's left New York that he's been allowed to play his game. They'll let him, they'll dump it down to him and let him go a sanitation worker truck, back up, beep, beep, turn around, shoot over the top. He'll shoot some threes, but he's really playing his game. They're allowing him to play his game. But the offense flows through CJ and Dame. And that's we understand that, Skip. Do I believe they can upset the Lakers? No, I do not. Do I believe they can take 2 games off them? Yes, I do.
Okay, before I get to Portland, I would like to comment on the Rockets. They showed great grit again last night.
Yeah.
Because they put themselves in position to win or steal or whatever you want to call it, yet another game, somehow, some way, in which they got out-rebounded by 25 and they got outscored points in the paint 44-28. It's almost impossible to overcome numbers like that.
Except?
Especially when the Rockets are not shooting the ball well at all by their standards. Especially when your 2 studs and stars, James and Russ, are having, by their standards, off nights.
Right,
both of them.
That's what really hurt them.
Okay? Yet and still, let's go back to James Harden. You talked about the fouls. If we could see what happened to him with 5:06 left in the third quarter, he is guarding not a big man, but a littler man, Dame, on the drive. He gets called for a phantom 5th foul that changes the flow of this game. Is that a foul? Seriously, is that a foul?
No.
He's trying not to touch him.
Yeah.
He's doing this. You know, he's trying not to touch him, and they whistle a foul. And it's the kind of fouls that James, ironically, or maybe fittingly, gets called on himself when he shoots threes. And you say, well, they didn't touch him.
They repaid him.
Okay, I guess they're repaying him because they're not protecting him on the other end of the floor. They're not loving James.
Right.
And all of a sudden, with 5:06 left in the third quarter, he has to go sit. And you can't tell me it doesn't hurt him psychologically the rest of the game, because he's kind of playing on skates a little bit. Like, I don't know. He's like on thin ice.
And didn't he start like the first 4 minutes of the fourth quarter on the bench?
He did. Okay. And sometimes he does that anyway. But the point is, it hurts you a little bit psychologically in a battle of that magnitude where it's just, tit for tat. You make a shot, we make a shot. What you can do, we do better. And it goes back and forth. And yet and still, with a minute 39 left in the game, if we could see these plays, Russ has got the ball in the paint. They're down only 1 point, which is just impossible. And here's Russ, and he gets a little advantage in the paint, and he decides to shoot a fall away, and that's a West brick.
Yeah.
That's a West brick.
Yeah, that wasn't even close to
going in. And then here comes the other way, and this is the next shot, and they're down. This is for the lead, actually. This is James for the lead with a minute left. And it's just going to be your basic step back, and it's a fairly open shot for him, and he just missed it long, okay? But that's with a minute left. And then here we go again, and James is going to get another shot. This is to cut it back to 5. That's just wide open because they banged into each other.
Right.
You got to make that. That cuts it. That's going to cut it down to 2 at that point.
That's the shot he normally makes.
You just swish that. Right? It's like a free throw for him, right? Okay, so don't tell me they didn't have 3 great chances down the stretch to be right in the middle of this thing. And obviously what we bypassed in the middle of that sequence there was with 54.6 left, Melo hit what became the dagger 3. I was happy for him. He's come back from the NBA, quote unquote, dead.
Yes.
And all of a sudden he's found a home in Portland. And Damian was very complimentary of him after the game and said, he's a Hall of Famer. You know, like he doesn't want to defend him. He wants to say, well, what's there to defend? He's a Hall of Famer. But he did say that Carmelo has blended into their offense because he will catch and shoot it as a spot-up shooter.
Right.
So I get it. Occasionally, they flip him a bone and they let him back down and do what he does.
Especially last night, Skip, he had smaller guys on him.
He did.
And see, that was the thing. That was the thing. You got smaller guys on you. That's what I'm saying, Skip. You got P.J. Tucker guard Nurkic, Skip. Why would you shoot anything outside of 5 feet? Nurkic, get your big butt down on the block and take this ball and go to the paint.
But they will fight you. That they will push you, they will shove you, they will body you, they will caboose you.
Yeah.
They make it hard for Nurkic. Nurkic was struggling. He was getting frustrated because it's just a little bit short. You're getting bumped, you're getting banged.
He missed a lot of easy ones.
Just little bunny shots that are just a little short, just off the rim. Then you tip it and miss it, you tip it and miss it, and all of a sudden Covington goes up and snatches the rebound, and here they go the other way.
Correct.
That's how they play. The only thing I don't love about it is they're always on the edge of the cliff. They can't blow anybody out because they're just too little to blow anybody out because you can get too many easy ones on them.
You're getting so many second chance points against them.
So they hang in, they scratch, they claw, they fight back, and then all you have to do is down the stretch, your 2 studs have to make their shots. And if they'd made them last night, but they did not. And by the way, Russell Westbrook goes 5 of 12 from the free throw line, can't win that game.
And the night before, Skip, he was just like 10 or 12.
But he was automatic.
Yes.
He made some big clutch shots. Okay, this one, that was against Milwaukee, obviously. But this won't work because you left 7 points, or even say, let's say 5 points. You just left them on the table that were going to be crucial down the stretch. So in the end, I was very impressed with how Houston hung in. But now let's turn our sights to Portland. You say maybe they could win 2 games. I just don't know about Portland. On paper, I give you this. On paper right now, I get it. Biggest threat to Lakers in first round on paper is this team. This team has 2 terrific guards, obviously.
Dynamite.
And you have lost your best perimeter guard defender, Avery Bradley.
Yes.
So now you don't have Avery to bother one of those 2 guys, right?
Yes.
So who's going to guard either one of them when we talk about mismatches?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, Danny Green will probably start on Dame, and KCP will probably start on CJ.
Okay, that's probably what you have. Is Danny a little too tall to sort of guard smaller guys? Sometimes he can be. He's a little too long.
Yeah, he don't move as well laterally like Avery does.
Okay, here's my issue with Dame and CJ. They're fine young men, got nothing personal against either one of them, but what stuck in my craw is what I failed to see against Golden State last year in the Western Conference Finals. Do you remember this? They played 4 games, and they lost all 4 to Golden State. There's no real shame in that, but if you are those guys, you should at least get one of those games.
Well, Skip, it is some shame in that because there are games that you're up 15, that you're up 18, and you got to be able to, and I get it, if you're in Golden State, you get a lead 10, 12 points, and they fight back, okay, I get that. But when you're home and you're up 15 at one point, you're up 17 at one point, and without KD, you got to bring one of those home.
Without KD, that was the point. So I'm going to throw a few numbers at you. 4th quarter overtime of those 4 games, Dame and CJ, they combined to go 12 of 46. That's 26%. And let's just look at CJ especially. He went 4 of 20 from the field. These are in 4th quarters and 1 overtime. And he went 1 of 10 from the three-point line. He went 1 of 5 from the free throw line. It's not CJ-esque. It's not what you expect. But the lights got a little too bright for him in this series because people started saying, well, if there's no KD, shouldn't you guys, you know, shouldn't you at least make your own little splash here? Shouldn't you win a couple of games? And those guys, down the stretch of those games, CJ was a -34 and Dame was a -30, and I could go through all the stats, but it's horrendous what they didn't do, how many shots they made.
Yeah, but Skip, they got dynamite in those arms though. They can still light you up. Dame can go get 60 on you.
Okay,
CJ can go get 40.
But I'm talking about 4 straight fourth quarters with 1 overtime. They disappeared, they shrank, they shriveled up. Both of them did.
And the thing, Skip, when you look at Portland against Houston last night, they had a huge size advantage. You go Nurkic at 7 foot. You go Whiteside at 7 foot. You go Zach Collins at 6'10", 6'11". So they got a size advantage. But with the Lakers, they're not going to have that because they have 7 foot JaVale. They have 6'10" Dwight. They have 6'10" AD. So the question is, Skip, I do believe, I still believe they can get a game or two for the simple fact of that backcourt. That backcourt is electric. And I wouldn't put anything past them because I've seen Dame carry a team, carry Portland to victories when no one else can buy a bucket. He can't miss. He can go 10 for 15 from the three-point line. And when you go 10 for 15, Skip, it's demoralizing.
I haven't seen it enough in the postseason. I saw it in one series against Russ. Remember? And they don't like each other.
Well, Skip, you remember he beat Houston a couple years ago with that walk-off 3. So he's more than capable. But, Skip, here's the thing that's concerning.